Welcome to this explainer. We're diving straight into an overall assessment of the terrifyingly effective crew aboard the Black Sun. This isn't your pristine, noble warship. Not even close. The Black Sun is a scarred, heavily modified Void Runner operating under a brutally simple combat logic. We're going to break down exactly who they are, how they operate, and why they're just so undeniably lethal in the Void.
Okay, let's just quickly run through the agenda for this tactical briefing. We've got Anatomy of a Predator, then the Command Crew, Ship Operations Crew, the Tideboarding Force, and finally, we'll look at the full combat machine in action.
All right, Section 1, Anatomy of a Predator, the Void Runner's Creed. To really get the Black Sun, we have to start with the vicious house shark doctrine that dictates every single maneuver they make out there in the cold expanse. Close, bite, rip. I mean, it's beautifully simple, right? But this isn't just some catchy motto, it's the absolute operational reality of the Black Sun. They literally never win by hanging back at a safe distance and trading fire. No way. They win by closing the gap incredibly fast, crippling their prey, locking on, and finishing the fight inside the enemy's own ship. Now, what's truly fascinating is how the ship cleanly divides its people to execute that exact doctrine. Unlike a standard military vessel where, maybe everyone rotates through general duties, the Black Sun relies on two highly specialized, completely distinct bodies. And this split is brilliant. On one side, we have the operating crew. They fly the ship, run the bridge, desperately keep the engines from exploding, and patch up injuries. They're the beating heart keeping the vessel alive. But on the other side, we have the Tide. They're the Jaws. This is a dedicated boarding and security force that stacks at the airlock with one goal: make the enemy bleed.
Moving on to Section 2, the Command Crew, Brains and Brawn. Let's look at how the top brass anchors this deeply aggressive philosophy.
So this isn't your typical captain on the bridge scenario. The crucial takeaway here is the division of leadership. Captain Orion Bloodhunter actually leads the physical breach. He doesn't sit safely back on the bridge. He's literally the tip of the spear alongside his first mate, Val Core, who handles the practical field command and prisoner control. Meanwhile, Max Crawford, the second mate, stabilizes the bridge. Basically, if Orion is the predator and Val is the blade, Max is the absolute rock, ensuring the ship doesn't fall apart while the top commanders are off-vessel cracking skulls. But we really need to look closer at Captain Orion. He's the absolute will of this ship. Stripped of his noble lands and titles, he was left with nothing but his crew and the Void. He actually carries a relic of his past, the tooth-saw beam blade, right into close-quarters violence. And get this, his command chair literally hides a relic containment box wired to a kill circuit keyed to his own crest. The guy is commanding while sitting right on top of world-ending anomalies. Absolutely wild. All right, Section 3, Ship Operations Crew, keeping the beast alive. If the command crew are the brains, these guys are the vital organs standing between the whole team and a freezing death. Meet the holy trinity of the Black Sun's survival. First up, Song. He's an elite pilot who uses this controlled aggression to fly the ship right into kill range, dodging fire just to make the house shark doctrine even possible. Then you have Freeman, the weapons officer, who unleashes the massive red maw cannon to cripple targets and fires these giant magnetic shark jaw grapples. And finally, there's an always angry Grenfall, fighting tooth and nail just to keep the strained coils and shields from completely collapsing under the pressure of this old, demanding ship. Backing them up, you've got Mary in the medbay. She is literally the only line of defense against constant decompression burns and neural trauma. Then there's Crooks, the quartermaster and cook, who's serving up old house shark history and reminders to hit swift and bite hard, right alongside the rations. And of course, Scones and Milton, who are desperately patching lines and opening secondary feeds while taking intense heat from Grenfall. Now, the Black Sun also boasts some wildly expensive advantages that separate it from your run-of-the-mill raider. They've got silent running capabilities, killing external signals for stealth bounty work, but the real game changer, a highly specialized Tau interface chair. This single piece of hardware costs nearly half the price of the ship itself, and it grants deep system access and anomaly detection. And sitting in that multi-million credit chair is Zen Suzak, the ship's science officer. Zen bears the hated black diamond mark of a sanctioned Tau engineer. His rare training lets the ship analyze terrifying anomalies that normal systems just can't comprehend. It gives the crew a massive edge in relic recovery, but it routinely puts Zen in immense personal danger, exposing his mind directly to the unknown. It just goes to show that in the Void, information is every bit as vital as firepower. Section 4. The Tide Boarding Force, the Black Sun's Teeth. This is where we get into the most violent faction of the ship, the dedicated boarding force trained exclusively for close-quarters slaughter. Before a door even opens, you've got Sergeant-at-Arms John Rayner ensuring absolutely perfect spacing and weapon readiness. Total discipline. Then, Griff plants the breach and hinge charges to blow the doors wide open. And the second that metal tears, Trender, the Tide's marksman, has already mapped out lethal sightlines, delivering precision rifle fire without even needing to be told where to look. It's fast, and it's brutally efficient. Once they're actually inside the enemy ship, the whole stack dynamically shifts. Foxkick sends out recon drones to map hidden heat signatures and traps. Swansong steps up for the heavy shotgun work and live capture restraints, which is super important to remember since they're bounty hunters who often need breathing targets to actually get paid. And crucial to keeping them alive, Tilton and Drake lock down the rear, watching those back angles so the boarding stack literally never gets flanked. Led by First Mate Valcor, it is absolutely vital to realize this is not some chaotic mob of pirates. No, they are a highly structured, heavily disciplined combat unit. They execute precise quarter clearing, handle relic containment, and provide ground security for specialists like Zen when they land. They're basically a scalpel made of pure violence. Section 5. The Full Combat Machine, Layering the Attack. Let's pull all these pieces together and see how this crew layers their abilities sequentially during a terrifying boarding action. All right, here is the sequence of destruction. First, Sang aggressively flies them in, while Zen reads the enemy's shield heat. Second, Freeman fires the heavy red mott to cripple the target, followed immediately by slamming those magnetic shark jaw grapples into the enemy hull, physically locking the ships together, all while Grinfall fights the engine so they don't blow up. Third, Rayner preps the stack, and Val leads the Tide right through airlock 2. Finally, the Tide clears the ship room by room, while back home, Mary preps trauma kits, and Crooks readies supplies for the bloody aftermath. It is just a perfect, sequential machine of war. Looking at this incredibly layered machine of violence and survival, it really highlights how specialized everyone aboard must be just to make it through the day. So it leaves us with one provocative question. If you found yourself walking the metal decks of the Black Sun, would you rather be the operating crew fighting to keep the old ship alive, or would you rather join the Tide and be the teeth that make the enemy bleed? It's a tough choice out there in the void. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.